Coming out this Wednesday on Beyond the Vibe, I'm joined by Greg T. Walker, best known for his time in Blackfoot and Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Yeah, they love it. We want you to come up to New York. Like, wow. Mm-hmm. We got up there, and there was no record deal. So Here we are. We're still 5-piece in a 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan. Plus, that was her apartment, so it was, 6 total. It was crazy. But we're here. We can't afford to go back home because we don't have enough money for gas. And we got a gig here and there. Then we moved out to Jersey within a few months, and we played a few shows out there. And since we were from Florida, we were different from anything they had heard up to that point. They're like, wow, these crazy guys from Florida, man, I like that music, because it was rock. So it was an easy transition when we joined Skynyrd for that time period. Mm-hmm. And then later on is when we realized the brilliance of Ronnie without him trying to be something he wasn't. He was just him, and it happened to be great. They used to come right here. I live on ancestral lands, and I'm 6th generation. And several times Ronnie and Gary would come here. This is into 71, 72, I think. And none of us had a car, but Judy Van Zant would bring us over here. We'd stop in town. Still got one blinking light. That's why I love it. But we'd get, Vienna sausage and soda crackers and something so we wouldn't starve to death. And we'd squirrel hunt. And so we'd clean them and cook them and eat them. That would be our supper. And I don't remember even having a guitar here at that time. We were strictly over here to get away from everything, take a deep breath. We went down and recorded what became the No Reservations album, the very first one. And it came out on Island because they knew some of the executives from Island Records. It bombed. It was a great record, still my favorite. And then a year later we went and we did another record with no deal, and they got us to deal with CBS Epic label. Same thing, it just came out and went at the same time. But it was 3 years after that went by before we recorded Strikes in 1979. And, we probably between No Reservations and Flying High, we might have sold 50, 60,000 copies combined. And Strikes went gold in 8 months. And then it went platinum. We're like, well, talking about going from here to here, it was a giant leap in a short span of time when Strikes came out. Hey, man.
Hi, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How about you today?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. It is boiling over here. I'm over in the UK, but we power through.
Yeah.
I really
I'm not
appreciate
a computer guy. This has really been a challenge for me for these podcasts, but I'm getting the hang of it. If it wasn't for that link I could click on, I'd be dead in the water. I'm telling you. I'm having a lot of fun with it.
No, that's cool, man. I really appreciate your time. It's cool, kind of linking up with you, man. So I'm here with Greg T. Walker of course, many people will be familiar with you from, Blackfoot and, of course, a bit of Lynyrd Skynyrd during those kind of early years. But first, I want to talk to you about your new band, Two Wolf, and of course the new album. Firstly, to kind of start things off, how did Two Wolf kind of come about?
After my Blackfoot years ended in 2011.
Mm.
Uh, it was kicking around. I said, I can't stop, and it's all I do is play. So I bounced around here and there with some people, and in 2015, I said, I'm just going to form a new band. And it was a revolving door at first, but within a few years, we got the lineup at what it is now today. So it's just been a real blessing to play with these fine musicians. I knew um, I knew Chris and Lance from before. Actually, not Lance. I did Chris,
Mm.
but it fell into place. It's just been a great ride so far.
Mm.
And we just feel like we're getting started, and we can't wait to work on the second record.
I mean, of course, this new, well, the debut album is just come out, very recently. How did this record come about? I mean, was this something that you'd been working on for a while?
No, we had been out playing shows here and there, and we said, it's time to do a record. So I guess now it's been about a little over a year ago. We actually, Lance found a perfect studio near Nashville out in the countryside that led to us going there, and we did 4 tracks. And then we went back 2 more times till we got, a finished album. And I mean, everything fell into place. You couldn't have written a better script. This happened really fast. But thanks to him, found that studio. So
Mm.
we did a full album. It was released June 6th this year. And in fact, a week ago today, got an email from Cleopatra, and they said on the strength of the CD sales already, they approved vinyl. So they're in production with vinyl. Should be out, he said, probably around October 1st. It's, 10 to 12 weeks duplication time for
Mm.
vinyl. So we're really excited about that.
Mm. It's always a special thing, isn't it, to get it on record? I think
Yeah, I still
there's
call
just
them records,
something.
even the CD. Play that record.
It's just there's something extra there. It's I don't know. I don't know what it is. It kind of makes it real. You see it on Spotify or this kind of the internet, right? But it's a
Yeah.
real thing at this point. Um, how what was the kind of process with this record? I know you say it was kind of fast. Did you look
Mhm.
to approach this album any differently compared to what you've done in the past?
Yeah, well, we were already doing most of the songs that wound up on the record, in live gigs.
Mm.
So we said, it's just time to make a record. So we all contributed, in songwriting, and it came about very quickly. We did, 4 songs and then 4 more. I think we wound up with 11 tracks total, if I remember correctly. And I don't know, it's just all the stars lined up, I guess you might say. There was somebody up above was smiling down upon us, and it really happened quickly and efficiently. And we just had the time of our lives, the best recording ever.
Mm.
And because Chris and Lance both really loved the Blackfoot catalog, they really wanted to do a few Blackfoot songs on the record. I'm thinking, well, yeah, maybe 1, 2 tops, and we wound up doing 3. But it's a democracy, and they really wanted it, and they pushed hard for it. I said, okay. So everything else is original by us, our songwriting.
Mm. Um, I think out the gate, it just really kind of hits you. It's that kind of hard Southern rock. Was this something that, you've wanted to like, you thought, yeah, we're going to go down this road. I mean,
Hmm.
how did these songs kind of come together?
It just happened that because Chris and Lance really liked the Blackfoot catalog, that
Hmm.
was their natural style of playing anyway. So it came together very quickly and easily, and it will always be lumped into the Southern rock category, and that's
Hmm.
fine. That's great, actually. But even like in Blackfoot, we were always a little bit harder edged, more
Yeah.
towards rock than the a little bit more laid back rock.
Hmm.
which is still very good, of course. And it's just a natural progression for us. It's really effortless, to be honest with you.
Mm.
I can't, I don't know how else to say that. Everything just fell into place.
It's cool, man.
I mean, we want to rock. We don't want to mess around. We
Yeah,
want
yeah.
to be in your face and give you some good, powerful music.
It absolutely does that. I mean, of course, you do vocals as well on this record. How did
Hmm.
you was this something that you wanted to do, or was it one of those things where you kind of fell into it?
No, from day one, we actually had made a few other recordings, not necessarily demos. It was a finished product, but we never did anything with it. And then we kept going through song after song until we decided on which ones we wanted to put on a full length record. That's, I mean, we had songs left over.
Mm.
So it was very easy to do. We had been playing them live anyway, most of them. There's, I think the only one that we never played or two was Blessed and the Cursed. That was written uh, prior to the recording. So
Mm.
Rusty and I had to learn that. And we kind of put it together as a band, but it was Chris and Lance's song. And then Keep On Moving, which was or is the first single. That was one of my songs. I never planned to record that. To me, it was just a B song, but it was a rocker. And the guys loved it. They said, "Man, we got to cut that." And I said, "Well, we'll give it a shot." And it came out really, really good. I never imagined it to come out that strong.
Mm.
But again, that's a band effort. You got Rusty back there pounding the drums, and he doesn't just, hit with the sticks. He commands what he does, and it's really powerful. And that's what I'm used to, from
Mm.
Jackson.
Mm. I've heard in the past that you were kind of, well, from other interviews, that you were kind of almost uncomfortable with taking lead vocals. Was that was that a reluctant thing? Were you like,
Yeah,
oh, come on
still
now?
am. Yeah, two other of my songs, Great Spirit and Traveler.
Mm.
Um, I had recorded them once before. Uh, well, Great Spirit in particular was up in Montana, lifelong friend of mine, and I had sang them before, but we got in the studio this time, and it was a challenge, and really didn't want to do it because I'm a bass player that can sing. I'm not a lead singer. I never was, and everybody encouraged me. So I promised them after we finished the record, in the future, if I submit a song, I'm not even going to consider singing it. One of you two guys are going to sing it, not me. It's just a little bit intimidating. Like I remember stepping into the vocal booth, and it's just a square, 6 by 6, and I went to take a breath to sing the first word, and when I
Mm.
went, it sounded like a hurricane. I'm like, oh my God, you could hear a mouse pissing on cotton. Really intimidating. So I hopefully will never have to sing lead vocal again. I'll still do these two live.
Yeah.
In the future, it'll be Chris or Lance because they're true singers,
Mm.
they're lead singers. I'll
I
do a
mean,
couple of oohs and ahs once in a while. That's about it.
I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? If you do vocals on the record, people want you to do it live, so you're kind of
Yeah.
tied into it then, aren't you?
Hmm.
um, the thing I like to do is I like to look back at how a musician began this journey because of course you've been on quite an amazing journey.
Hmm.
Was there a moment for you growing up, like at the beginning of all this, where you thought, this is what I want to do, I want to be a musician, and in particular a bass player?
That's the last thing I learned to play was bass.
Mm.
So when I was 5, my mother gave me a ukulele, and within a week or so, I could play 2-finger chords, only 4 strings. Then I added a third finger, and after about a month and a half, I could play a little 3-chord thing. And then at 6, I began piano lessons, and by the time I was 10, Rickey and Jackson and I had our first play for pay band. and we never looked back. And then 8 years later, or 10 years later, no, 8 years later, was the birth of Blackfoot, with Ricky and Jackson and along with Charlie Hardwick. So I've been a musician all my life.
Mm.
And I saw the Beatles when I was very young in the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. And that moment changed my life. I swear. And people say, I heard that before. I'm telling you, it changed my life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah. It's interesting, I hear so many musicians from all over the world, they have this moment, and it's
Yeah.
surprising how many. It's specifically the Beatles. They see them live and it changed something shifted. Was it just kind of a special feeling, or was it like, what they're doing, I want to do that?
Exactly. That's what I
Hmm.
said to my date. I don't know, we were 12 or something. And I'm hoping they would play I Want to Hold Your Hand. That would give me an excuse
Hmm.
to hold her hand. I was so shy. But it was during that performance, I looked at her and then I pointed to the stage. You couldn't hear anything but screaming girls, I can tell you. I never heard a note. But I said, that's what I want to be when I grow up. And she said, what? And I kept pointing into the
Hmm.
stage. She said, I don't get it. I said, I want to be that, big in a band. And she goes, you've been in a band, since you were 10. I said, I know, but I want to be that. No, I want to be big, not just a band. It was a real turning point.
Hmm.
So about 20 years after graduation, she got a hold of me and she said, I'm proud of you because you said you were going to do it. And when everybody else said, I'm going to go to college and be this and that and the other, what are you going to do? And I said, play in a band. And they go, you'll never amount to anything. Maybe not, but that's what I'm going to do. And she said, I'm proud of you because you stuck to your guns. You waited it out and you worked very hard. It took a long time after high school, but look at you now. And I said, thank you very much. I appreciate the compliment. I really went after it. So many of us did, actually.
Hmm.
That's a different era.
It is. I mean, of course, you mentioned it there. You formed Blackfoot in 1970 with Rickey Medlocke. Can you recall?
69.
Sorry, 69
Mm-hmm.
with Medlocke. Can you recall that? Like, was there a conversation? Was it like, what, we want to do this?
Ricky and Charlie and I had a band, and we were playing 7 nights a week in this club. And Jackson Spires and another childhood friend from kindergarten, his keyboard player, were playing in a band in Gainesville, Florida. And I just had this idea. I knew that they were having trouble with their guitar player. We were having issues with our keyboard player. So I went to Ricky's one day and I said, if we got rid of this guy, they got rid of one of their guys, and we merged. And so we were 5 piece the first
Mhm.
year. All of us, except Charlie not being, a childhood friend, but we'd all be in the same band at the same time because we'd always had two of us in any given band through the years. And it worked, very quickly. So we got a residency then in Gainesville, 6 nights a week, 5 sets a night,
Wow.
6 months. That's a lot of playing. That's all you did was play music 6 nights a week. So the band got tight real quick, and we learned each other's styles very quickly.
Mm. I remember reading, didn't you guys technically start off as a cover band first off? I mean, obviously playing that
Absolutely, yeah.
much. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you
Um,
weren't allowed to play originals yet at that time. But the guy that owned the venue was very cool, and he liked us as people, and he loved the band. And we said, we got a new song we wrote. Could we try it out? And he said, yeah, maybe the last set, the last song, and the crowd's thinning out. And within a month there was a third or fourth, and we wound up doing about 8 in a set. Every night. He
mm,
allowed us to do that. So I'm not sure many bands got that opportunity. We fortunately did.
mm,
And We moved to New York City in March of 1970, and that was a wake up call. We'd never seen a building over like 10 or 12 stories tall. We're looking up at the sky, like there's the Empire State Building. We're like, whoa, what is this? But we
Was
kept
that
at it, and that was the birth of Blackfoot. We had a
Mm.
different name. We went through two other names before Blackfoot in a very short span of time, and it stuck. So that's how we got the name.
Mm. I mean, making that move, I mean, obviously there'd be so many more bands in that area.
Oh yeah.
Um, was that the kind of like, despite all that competition, you guys were still able to rise up through that? Did you kind of feel that, actually we have something special here if we're able to come to a place like this?
Yeah, actually, there was a girl from Gainesville that had moved to New York, and she worked for a record company up there. We
Mm.
never met her uh, before that. We got a letter in the mail at the club. Said I was in there, during the holidays, Christmas, I guess, and love the band. Could you send us a demo tape? So we went to some studio and did 4 or 5 songs, oh, reel to reel. And we sent it up there, and it said, yeah, they love it. We want you to come up to New York. I'm like, wow.
Mm.
We got up there, and there was no record deal. So here
Wow.
we are. We're still 5 piece in a 1 bedroom apartment in Manhattan. Plus, that was her apartment. So it was, 6 total. It was crazy. But like, well, we're here. We can't afford to go back home because we don't have enough money for gas. And we got a gig here and there. Then we moved out to Jersey within a few months, and we played a few shows out there. And since we were from Florida, we were different from anything they had heard up to that point. They're like, wow, these crazy guys from Florida, man, I like that music, because it was rock.
Yeah.
But see, we were doing still a lot of covers as well as original. We were doing Deep Purple,
Mm.
Wishbone Ash, Uriah Heep. Nobody had heard of them yet over here, very few.
Mm.
They thought it was all original music. So that gave us a leg up right there.
Mm.
And I think those guys, in past years, like it's you and a couple of others helped get us to where we wound up. So thank you very much. We were covering your songs.
Um, of course, it was about a year or so later, I want to say, where you had that opportunity to join Leonard Skinner for a while.
Yeah,
Um,
heck, we were 18 when we moved to New York.
yeah.
A couple of years went by, the growing pains, typical. We're still young, and we I don't want to say splintered, but we
Mm.
did part ways. Just still great friends, and so Rickey joined first. Then a few months went by, and I had gone to Florida, but I went back up to New Jersey, and they said that they were having some issues with their current bass player. If I wanted a job, come on down. So I jumped on a plane and came back to Florida. And we did a full album. That didn't come out until a few years later after Skinner got known, pretty quickly once they issued their first one. But those songs began showing up on like Street Survivors. I know there's a few tracks, and there was 9 tracks that I recorded on bass and
Mm.
background vocals. But it came out probably 74, 75, and then of course 77, everything come, I hate to use the word crash, but come crashing down because of the plane.
Yeah.
But it was a great time.
Did you feel that there was something in particular with Ronnie about, with maybe the way he was writing? I mean, obviously you have this unique perspective where it's before Pronounced came out. Was there a thing, did he go away on his own and write things and then come back? What was that kind of
Yeah,
thing?
we didn't know it during our time with them, but we
Mm.
quickly realized it after the fact. He was a no pretense kind of guy. He is what he is,
Yeah.
and he was comfortable in his own skin. And he rarely wrote lyrics down on paper. It's always in his head.
Wow. Mm.
So if somebody came up with a chord progression, he'd just stand there and listen, and he'd go over to that person and start singing in their ear. And he created a melody and then a theme, a title,
Yeah.
and it was really quick. I mean, it takes me a year to write a song. Sometimes he would write two or three in a day, like Jackson Spires. He breathed songs. I've never seen anybody like him. He and Rickey both were very prolific songwriters. Hard to
Mm.
compete with that. But yeah, Ronnie was he was a regular guy. I mean, they all were. We were all brought up in the same era.
Yeah.
We were friends before we joined Skynyrd. We knew each other through music stores and high school auditoriums and cafeterias and burger joints. You play out in the parking lot. So it was an easy transition when we joined Skynyrd for that time period.
Mm.
And then later on is when we realized the brilliance of Ronnie without him
Mm.
trying to be something he wasn't. He was just him, and it happened to be great. They
Mm.
used to come right here. I live on ancestral lands, and I'm sixth generation. And several times Ronnie and Gary would come here. This is 70, in the 71, 72, I think. And none of us had a car, but Judy Van Zant would bring us over here. We'd stop in town. Still got one blinking light. That's why I love it. But we'd get, Vienna sausage and soda crackers and something so we wouldn't starve to death. And we'd squirrel hunt. And so we'd clean them and cook them and eat them. That would be our supper. And I don't remember even having a guitar here at that time. We were strictly over
Mm.
here to get away from everything, take a deep breath. I remember I got a turkey, one of those visits, at high noon, was sitting up on the tree limb, which is not normal. So we ate that too. And that was one of my treasured moments when people ask me my memories of Skinner. That's when Gary and Ronnie and I were here for like 3 or 4 days. We did it a few times. I've
Mm.
talked to Judy recently, and I brought that up to her. I said, "Remember when you would drop us off and then come back and get us 3 or 4 days later? That's a magic time. We were
Mm.
friends. We were just regular guys. Happened to be in a band.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the key to you guys' success, with Blackfoot and Skinner. I think that at least what I get is like you guys when you've made these songs, it feels relatable,
Mm-hmm.
and I think the audience just really kind of connects with that, just that simple thing that you're just real guys, right?
I agree. Yeah.
Mm.
When you write lyrics that apply to the average person,
Mm.
that gives you an edge in hindsight. I mean, you don't deliberately set out to do that, but
Mm.
same with us. We are what we are in those early days, and it's the typical boy meets girl and heartache, heartbreak, and your girlfriend runs off with another guy. Juvenile lyrics, but it worked at the time. We
Mm.
never got into the sophisticated lyrics. It just life's stories and adventures,
Mm.
and it worked. And but at one point, I really missed Blackfoot because that was
Mm.
kind of my baby. So I went to Ricky and I said, if you agree, I would like you and I to give a notice, like a 2 week notice, and get Charlie and Jackson back and continue on this Blackfoot because I like what we were doing. I love the
Mm.
Skynyrd stuff, but I love the Blackfoot stuff better. Is all.
Mm. I
So
imagine I imagine you get more creative freedom, of course, with it being your own project.
yeah, right. So
Was
we
that
didn't have a
kind
record
of,
deal, but
yeah.
we had recorded a Muscle Shoals with Skynyrd. That did lead to us getting a demo tape to them in 1974. And we worked out a deal. If we could get down there, they would pay for half of everything, lodging and food and stuff. So we went down and recorded what became the No Reservations album, the very first one. And it came out on Island because they knew some of the executives from Island Records. It bombed. It was a great record, still my favorite. And then a year later, we went and we did another record with no deal, and they got us to deal with CBS Epic label. Same thing, it just came out and went at the same time. But it was 3 years after that went by before we recorded Strikes in 1979. And, we probably between No Reservations and Flying High, we might have sold 50, 60,000 copies combined. And Strikes went gold in 8 months. And then it went platinum. We're like, well, talking about going from here to here, it was a giant leap in a short span of time when Strikes came out.
I mean,
it was the turning point.
Yeah. I mean, it feels, when you look at that, it just kind of exploded. I mean, obviously, you had kind of 2 big hits in particular with Train and Highway Song.
Right.
I mean, did these feel like special songs when you were recording them?
We didn't do anything differently than we had done on the first 2. Just write and demo and record. And I think we did 3 covers on the Strikes album. Now that I think about it, I know we did "Pay My Dues." What else did we do? I know there was 3 covers. And I don't know why, we just did. But it must have been the right decision when you look back now. I mean, it paved the way for the future. I'll have to look at that. I can't remember the other 2. I remember "Pay My Dues," and it was the Blues Image. And Mike Panera, and we had met him several times. We played that in clubs. We liked the song. I almost think it was a Spirit song. "Got a Line on You." I think that was another cover that we did that we had played in clubs for, at that point, 5 years or more, 5 or 6 years. I'll have to look and see what the third one was. I know there was 3 covers.
I'd have to have a look as well.
Yeah. You got me curious now.
I mean, the thing that, I was speaking with my father just before, like an hour or so ago, and he was saying that he saw you guys play at Reading Festival in the UK in '82. And he said something that I thought was really unusual, but I thought would be amazing. He said that you had this jam with Iron Maiden, Blackfoot and Iron Maiden.
Yeah, we did.
What was that like? I mean, to I think a younger audience, people, maybe of my age, they think maybe these 2 wouldn't go together. But my dad was like, "Oh no, it was great. It was it was special."
Yeah, right? It was pandemonium. Well, we had them out with us over here for part of a tour, and same with Scorpions and Def Leppard. And so we went over there and we would open for them because that's where they're from and they were extremely popular. Yeah, but we got up at the end of the night, so there was like 5 guitar players and 2 drummers and 2 bass players. And I think we did a ZZ Top song.
Yes.
The grand finale, and it was off the chart. It was great. And we're still friends. At least I am with Steve. It's been a while since I've seen him, but the last time I did, it was like old times again. Great bunch of guys.
I mean, it's just such an unusual thing. I mean, he was saying, he was like, you guys seem to just tower above them. Like you look like 10 feet tall.
Well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. A question I like to finish on that I ask every guest that comes on. It's a bit of a hypothetical one. If you could work with one musician from the past and one from the present, who would they be? Of course, you've worked with many amazing people over the years and you've had some amazing collaborations and opened for some amazing bands, like The Who. I mean, but
if I had 24 hours to come up with an answer, I'm not sure if that's enough time. I mean, I look up. I'm still a fan of many musicians, and we're all friends. That's the beauty of it. The ones
Mm,
that have stuck it out. You know, we go on the Rock Legends cruise, and it's Rock Legends.
yeah.
So I'll run into the Uriah Heep guys,
Mm.
or Doobie Brothers, and this one and that one, and Kansas, and we start reminiscing, and one will say, "Remember that time we played?" And he'll name a town, and I'm thinking, "No, I don't remember that." They remember every detail, and it's refreshing.
Mm.
So I really can't answer that question about who would I like from the past is still active and current. There's
I mean,
some
you
brilliant players out there. I mean, I don't think I'm in the same league. These guys are way beyond my capabilities. I get nervous just being on the boat with them, or if it's an indoor venue somewhere. It's like we better be on our best behavior because if not, they're going to kick our butt. But we're never afraid of that either. We give it everything we have.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
We
is
play
there?
with everybody. That's why it's so hard. Nobody really stands out,
Oh, I get you.
light years above the rest that I
Yeah.
wish I could be in a band with. One time,
Was there
one night.
one? Was there one perhaps from your childhood? I think people always have somebody in particular, like that they grew up with, that they have this kind of fondness for. Maybe a Beatle, maybe somebody from those kind of early years. Is there one from that time? Maybe.
It'd have to be the Beatles. I mean, as I
Yeah.
said, that changed my life and had every record they ever did. I still got a few
Mm.
of the originals on vinyl. I didn't start playing bass until I formed Blackfoot.
Mm.
So I contacted the other guys I mentioned earlier that had a band, and of course us. And all of a sudden I said, "Well, who's going to play bass?" And they said, "You." And I said, "I never played bass." They said, "It's the only thing you never played. You need to learn that too." I went, "Okay." And I became a bass player like that.
Yeah,
Rickey had a Hofner Beetle bass actually, and that was my first bass that I learned to play on. I stayed very simple. I'd been a drummer, I'd been a guitar player. We all had. Everybody's been a drummer if they've been a musician long enough. You play drums at least for 6 months, somewhere. Yeah, it's a metamorphosis, I guess you might call it. There's just so many little nuances in this life that we
yeah.
live as musicians. It's all
Mm.
good. I've got a million great stories, and really no dirt on anybody.
No, of course not.
I don't want to
Um,
spend good energy on negative energy for sure. It's been a really great life.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it looks like you're surrounded by some amazing things. I mean, I remember somewhere, I don't know whether I read it somewhere, that you keep quite a lot of stuff from back in the day. You were saying it was like it was some like really old gear, like you always seem to keep hold of it. Is that just like you get it, you keep it, or is it like sentimental?
Generally, yes, you do keep it at least for a long, long time, and you reach the point where this is very outdated. At the time it was made, it was all the rage, but it doesn't measure up to today's technology because you always want bigger amps and louder amps that are clean with the
Mm,
right amount of distortion if you're a guitar player. Drummers want bigger size drums and more cymbals. Yeah, it grows. That's the life of a musician. You're never quite satisfied. You know, guys, I need one more cymbal over here that come in handy. I'm like, what would you do? Hit it 2 times in a set, or I may some gadget for a bass. The only thing I use other than straight into the amp is a little Sans amp. You can hold it in the palm of your hand,
mm,
and that bypasses the amplifier's bass, treble, mid-range knobs, and then you can color that sound the way you want it. It's just a square like that. It's very, very small. It weighs a pound,
mm.
and throw it right in your guitar case. That's the only enhancer I use since about 2004 is when I got that. I love that thing. It's sitting right there by my guitar case right now, never far out of reach. But none of us, all through those early years, we never experimented a lot with tones. It was kind of kept within check. Couldn't afford it for one thing. But even to go in a music store, you would try things like, I can get that plugging straight into a guitar amp. I don't need, this $1,000 thing I can't afford anyway. It can be overdone for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Of course, for those that want to grab the debut Two Wolf album, you can. And obviously now we know that the vinyl is on the way. The record is
record.
coming.
I love being able to say record.
Yeah. So you can grab that via the link in the description below. And it's been a pleasure speaking with you, man.
Where are you at exactly?
I'm in the UK, so I'm near a place called Nottingham, so Robin Hood country.
Mm-hmm.
So
we did Europe so many times, right up through 2011. I still had Blackfoot going, and we go over there 3 times a year and do, the Central European countries, and just always loved the UK. The UK was the first country to really embrace us back in the day. And it just spread like wildfire. We went down to France and Spain and Italy and Germany and Sweden, Switzerland, all that Central European group of nations there. And I don't know what it was about them, but they just loved what we did. It was a little bit different. I know one thing they don't like over there, I think to this day, is light rock. They want it in your face.
Yes.
The headbangers. We were playing the Hammersmith Odeon, and up in the balcony, we had 2 nights sold out in a row, and those kids were, like that. And it's like the Muppets TV show. Cracking up. What a great place. Love to get back over there and tour on this record. Really would.
Yeah. I was going to say, you'll have to bring Two Wolf over.
We talk about it all the time. Maybe we can run into the right people to make that happen.
Exactly. We'll put an open call out now for anybody listening.
Yeah, bring us over. We want to play.
Yes, this is it, right? Let's make it possible. Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, and I love the record. Genuinely, it just really it really hit me straight away. Just that, like, I got sent it a couple of days ago, and I was like, whoa, like, just really great stuff, man. I mean, it's I'm a bit of a sucker for like hard rock, so
yeah,
I
love
it.
Hard. We need many more like you. We're very proud of it. We work extremely hard. And diligent, and I would play it for anybody. We're all so proud of what we did, but it was a group effort. We feed off each other, and somebody says, try this, you're just 2 notes and it makes a difference, or not, but everybody respects each other in this band. It's been a great unit so far.
Man.
It's nice when you're actually friends as well as musical friends. You can see some talented people get together, and you can feel the tension on the stage, or you can see it visually if you're in the audience. Like, they're playing great, but there's no communication. We're constantly looking at each other, and thumbs up and all of that in the middle of a song.
Well, it's
thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I was looking forward to this for some days now, and we got it done.
Absolutely, man. You'll have to come if you're doing another record. We'll have to come back, man. And
absolutely, love nothing better than that.